Welcome and thank you for watching the Why Can't I Sleep workshop. My name is Jill and I'm a behavior health consultant here to facilitate this workshop, which is provided to you by the Edmonton Zone Primary Care Networks. Sleep is an important part of life as we spend a third of our lives sleeping. This video series will discuss the health benefits of quality sleep, ideas on how to improve, and techniques to prepare. In video 1, we talked about the importance of sleep. And video 3 will discuss sleep and our thinking as well as relaxation. In this video, we look at several of the key behaviors that can influence and improve sleep. By implementing them, you can learn to improve your chances of getting to sleep faster and improving the quality. So let's start with looking at this picture. What might be wrong with it? Some might identify that the man is drinking coffee in bed and the woman is on her laptop, but there are many other things as well. The fact that he is reading a magazine in bed, that they are sitting up being entertained or working in bed, that they're in bed while it's light out, possibly during the day and not at night. All of these things and more could be seen as issues that might interfere with sleep. Next, we'll talk about Pavlov and who he is and what he did. Pavlov is a scientist who did many behavioral experiments. One such experiment involved a dog and a bell. Pavlov would ring the bell every time he fed the dog food. Over time, the dog began to associate the bell with food and began to salivate even in the absence of food. Human beings are very similar and we make associations every day. So how does this relate to this picture? When we spend time in our rooms and bed, doing things other than sleeping, like working, reading, watching TV, having big conversations, it starts to be a place of wakefulness instead of a restful place for sleep and being intimate. Our brain starts to associate the bedroom with a place of entertainment, wakefulness, anxiety, and frustration. That it's okay to be awake while in bed. The first behavioral intervention talks about caffeine and nicotine. Caffeine's effects can last 3 to 7 hours, but it may take up to 24 hours to fully eliminate caffeine from the body. Some people tend to be more sensitive to caffeine than others. It can reduce the amount of time spent in deep sleep, leaving people feeling less rested the next day. Caffeine can come in many different ways, such as coffee, tea, pop, energy drinks, and chocolate. Lighter roasts of coffee also happen to have more caffeine than darker roasts. If you're going to have caffeine, having it in the morning prior to noon is a safer bet to help ensure it doesn't interfere with your sleep. And for some, it may be helpful to eliminate caffeine altogether. According to recommendations from Dietitians of Canada, 0 to 400 milligrams is considered safe for most adults. Nicotine is also a stimulant and can mask your exhaustion at bedtime. Heavy smokers often sleep very lightly and have reduced amounts of REM sleep. They also tend to wake up after 3 or 4 hours of sleep due to nicotine withdrawal. If smoking reduction is something that you would like to pursue, Alberta Quits has some great resources for all Albertans. Some people believe that alcohol can be used to fall asleep, as it has sedative effects and can cause relaxation and sleepiness. However, studies have shown that it interferes with the depth of sleep that you get and leaves you feeling less rested the next day. It can reduce the amount of time spent in restorative REM sleep and deep sleep, resulting in a light to medium sleep stage during the night. It can also cause people to wake up in the night as alcohol levels start to drop. Drinking to fall asleep can also increase tolerance, leading to drinking more alcohol to bring the sedative effects. Avoiding alcohol 4 to 6 hours before bedtime is a good practice. Exercise has been shown to increase the quality and duration of sleep, especially the deep sleep stage that's so restorative for everyone. Health Canada recommends 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise per week. It's important, though, to not exercise within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, as it releases adrenaline, which can make it difficult to fall asleep. It's critical to find a type of exercise that you enjoy, as this will help it become more routine and fun. When things are fun, it increases the likelihood that we will continue and make it a priority. This could be, possibly going for walks, runs, swimming, yoga, or walking your dog. It doesn't have to be done all at once. Rather, it can be split into chunks throughout the day. Let's pause for a second and talk about sleep drive. Sleep drive is the likelihood that we will fall asleep at a given time. Let's visualize that each day we start off with a balloon, and certain activities that we do in the day add air and stretch the balloon bigger. Exercise is one activity that can help give a breath of air in the balloon. We want to do certain things to help the balloon grow, as that will help to improve the quality and quantity of sleep each night. The next technique is to avoid napping. There has been a lot of research around cat naps, where naps are 15 to 20 minutes in duration. They have been shown to be restorative and can increase cognitive function and alertness. If the nap is longer, we pass from the light to medium stages of sleep into deep sleep, where folk will feel groggy and unrestored. We have to be careful with napping though, as the body considers it as part of your overall sleep time and can reduce your nighttime sleep amount. When we nap, we let some of the air out of that sleep balloon, and there usually isn't enough time in the day to reinflate it before bedtime, thus affecting our quality and quantity of sleep at night. It's important to find competing activities to fight the urge to nap before bedtime. If we sit on the couch to watch TV while sleepy, we're most likely going to fall asleep. Activities should be physical, such as doing some housework or walking or maybe organizing a closet, rather than cognitive like reading or passive like going on social media. As adults, we aren't typically great with sleep routines. Most kids have a definite bedtime routine that they do every night at a certain time. They take a bath, put on their PJs, brush their teeth, read a book, and then hop into bed. Thinking back to Pavlov's theory of conditioning, when we repeatedly do certain behaviors in the same order, we create a conditioned response where the brain will automatically start getting you sleepy when you take the first step. We want to take a page from this and create a relaxing, comfortable routine for ourselves about 1 hour prior to going to bed. During this time, focus on nothing too stimulating, which means no work or deep conversations or screen time. Consider meditation, relaxing music, a puzzle, light stretching, maybe some reading, deep breathing, a warm bath, or any combination of those. We will discuss more relaxation techniques in video 3, so stay tuned. 56% of Canadians report using their smartphones before going to bed. The problem comes from the blue wavelengths produced by your smartphone and other gadgets like computers, TV, tablets, and even some energy-efficient LED light bulbs. This type of light significantly suppresses the production of melatonin, which is a naturally occurring hormone that starts to be released when it gets dark out, and it helps us to feel sleepy. When we're on electronics and under bright lights, our bodies don't get the signal that it's time for sleep until our head hits the pillow and we turn off our devices. Light-emitting devices also engage and stimulate the mind, which results in poorer quality of sleep. Best practice for bedtime routine is to silence notifications on devices and have them out of sight. For example, many smartphones will have a do not disturb function that limits calls and text messages coming in. We talked a bit about our bedroom environment at the beginning of this presentation. Now let's get in more depth. With our bedroom, we want to create a tranquil, inviting, soothing place. Let's go through some of the areas on this picture. Light can cause trouble sleeping, as it can reduce the production of melatonin. Having minimal light in the room can be achieved by using blackout curtains or face mask, for example. As we've learned in the previous video, our light to medium sleep changes as we age. When we're in these lighter sleep stages, we are much more apt to wake from the creaks and groans of the house, a car alarm going off down the street, your pet moving in the room, or your spouse snoring beside you. Using white noise can be helpful to drown out these normal sounds. It can be anything from the sound of a fan to a white noise app or YouTubing white noise or spa music to play during the night. Earplugs can also be helpful. Our bodies are made to get hungry every 4 to 6 hours, And for those who have initial insomnia, it can be quite late when they fall asleep. A light bedtime snack that includes protein and a carb may be helpful, as going to bed with hunger pains can make it difficult to fall asleep. However, having a heavy or spicy meal prior to bed can sometimes lead to heartburn and an uncomfortable feeling in our stomachs. The optimal sleep temperature is 18.3 degrees Celsius. Our body's temperature naturally drops as we sleep, reaching a low point near daybreak. If the temperature in our rooms is too hot or too cold, it may cause you to have a disrupted sleep. Trying to sleep with a busy mind, racing thoughts, or worries can be difficult. We will get into this a lot more in video 3. Having a comfortable bed and pillow are also important factors to consider when assessing your bedroom environment. There are many choices, so pick something that works for you. We want our room to be a place of quiet and rest, where we go to sleep or have sex. Everything else is done outside of the bedroom. Sleepy and tired are often two words that are used interchangeably, but they don't always mean the same thing. You could run a marathon and feel tired but might not be sleepy. If you're not sleepy when going to bed, you're allowing a fertile environment for your mind to start worrying about things in your day, things to do tomorrow, or the idea that maybe you can't sleep at all. These thoughts may keep you awake longer. When we go to bed, we want to ensure that we are feeling sleepy, yawning, and our eyes are feeling droopy. Having a consistent wake time and bedtime helps to create habits that allow for a protected amount of sleep each night. When we go to bed and wake at certain times consistently, our bodies start to follow these patterns naturally. Keeping the same wake and sleep times helps to set our circadian rhythm, our body's internal clock. Coming back to the sleep balloon analogy, when we sleep in, we begin inflating our balloon later in the day, often not giving ourselves enough time to fill it for that night's sleep. Routine bedtimes and wake times, even on weekends, are essential. Waking up in the middle of the night is fairly common. Sometimes it's for a trip to the bathroom, rolling over from aches and pains, or racing thoughts. Many people struggle to fall back to sleep, often due to thinking about the next day or worrying about sleep. With this behavioral intervention, we want to try and limit the amount of time spent awake while in bed. If we are awake during the night while laying in bed, it can create a learned association. Remember Pavlov? The more time we spend in bed thinking, the more it wakes us up and perpetuates the same cycle. If after 10 to 15 minutes you're still awake or your mind is racing, get out of bed. Go to the living room, turn on a lamp, and do something non-stimulating or boring, such as reading something boring, meditating, Sudoku, word search, or puzzles. Once sleepy, when your eyes are feeling droopy and you're yawning, go back to bed. And if not asleep within 10 to 15 minutes, get up and repeat. Thank you for attending the Why Can't I Sleep workshop. Follow up with our next video to help learn how to better our sleep. Video 3 will go over how to manage our racing thoughts at bedtime and relaxation to help soothe us to sleep. Your medical home is here to work with you to take care of your health and care needs. Have a wonderful day.